Not all superheroes wears capes. Some wear wellies. Wellies.
You happy, Darren?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the James Conway Experience. We're here with a mountain of a man all the way from me, Christopher Duffy. Christopher, my first visual introduction to yourself was on a video where you looked like you were going to throttle Charlie McConlogue to death down the country. You were along with a good friend of mine, Morris.
Morris the Long Acre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has things improved in your eyes since? I doubt it highly.
I don't think anyone at home needs to hear the answer to that.
Oh, no.
No. Jesus, things is atrocious. Yeah, below in Athlone, yeah. Yeah, that night we went down the IC. One of the farming organisations had a meeting below.
Yeah.
And we actually planned to go down to that. There's a breakaway group of us that went to Dublin before and done different, the tractor protest group, you know.
Yeah.
And generally closed doors and things like that don't tend to stop us. Do you know what I mean? Or, you know, a meeting being private. Kind of, we wouldn't be the best at reading and that, do you know what I mean?
Yes,
like,
yes.
If there's a door handle, we'll try it, you know? And we went down there, all right, yeah. And it's funny, the IFA went out the same night protesting on the outskirts of the towns. And the sad thing about it was when the IFA called a protest, thousands of farmers came out and they parked on the outskirts of all the towns around the country, and they were all back home in time for EastEnders, whereas we were still below at 1 o'clock in the morning, below outside the hotel or inside in some of us. But yeah, we were outside below when McConlogue was inside, and it's very frustrating when you have a bunch of farmers in a room and none of them asking the minister any difficult questions. Yeah. And every time he talks, they're clapping, and you know, and we were kind of saying we'll doorstep him when he comes out. Yeah, we'll hit him with a few, because there was at the time I was going.
How did you find him? Because I might have had a different experience, Jay. I done it a bit different. What's that place outside Killala Road? The little restaurant.
Oh, the Merry Monk.
The Merry Monk.
Right.
There was a Fianna Fáil thing on one evening, and guest speaker Charlie McConlogue. A man rang me. He says, McConlogue is in the Merry Monk tonight. I says, that's sound. So I went down to the meeting and I sat in the front row until the questions and answers thing came up. Yeah. And I put up my hand like so. And I asked away a question. Now, a lot of the answers was just jibbing.
It must be just waffle.
Waffle is a great way of describing it.
Yeah.
But the poor bastard, I think he had frightened the life out of him to such an extent that he actually thanked me after for how civil I had conducted myself.
Well, you see now, the other side of this is, like, we were outside behaving ourselves and we caused no obstruction to anybody. You beat these people talking about you hijacking a meeting. The meeting went off completely. The meeting was in the hotel. We were outside.
He went in after.
And there's a fella, there's be always where I'd be or we'd be, there's a chap Spark, I do call him, a hell of a good chap, and he's a farmer, and he came over to me and he said, Duffy, he said, look at this, there's a door open over here, there's a lad bringing out the equipment, the amplifiers and stuff, and he said, that's into the room where the meeting was. Oh, be Jesus, says I, right, we'll have a look in, and I never said anything to the crowd at the door or nothing. In, looked over, there was McConlogue sitting beyond with three people. I just didn't stop till I was standing in front of them. It was three journalists that was with him. There was the Farmers Journal, there was two others, I don't know who they were. I know Grip Media was outside that night with us and that, but I kind of stood and manually waited for him to finish talking to the three, and then he looked towards me. And I was standing there and I said, Minister, could I ask you when the farmers are going to get their acres payment that they're waiting on? I said, I'm a contractor, say, and every farmer I'm going to sell him, he hasn't got his money yet. Could you please tell me when they're going to get their money? I said, yes, were quick enough to get them to sign up for these schemes. Oh, I don't have to talk to you, says he, like that. Why not, says I. I said, you got a handy run tonight, nobody asked you. I said, I'm asking you. How did you get in here? I said, come in that door over there, says I. That's what they're for.
Yeah.
I said, doors. You can go in and out them, you know. And no, then some farmer approached to, and he started, who are you with and what organisation are you with? You know, this kind of a thing. So what, you have to be in an organisation to talk to the Minister for Agriculture? And he started to stand up out of the chair. And I'm a tall man. I was standing here. And this lad started to stand up out of the chair. And between he was above me and he was still only halfway off the chair. Yeah. And he was up here. And he walked off. He said, that was the end of that. He just walked away from me. And so I was letting it rip after him, roaring after him. I can't remember what I was saying to him. But he was to leave the hotel that night to be somewhere else for a meeting the next morning. He had to cancel the meeting the next morning because he had to stay in the hotel because we stayed practically the whole night out to the hotel waiting for him. We were just wanted answers to questions. Yeah. And he disappeared.
No, Christopher, you're wise enough though, and I'm beginning to look at them all the same. They're all puppets.
The puppets, but I'm going to tell you another thing. You see, it's all right for me to do these things. I'm not a farmer. People that don't know me think I'm a farmer because every time I do a video, so I'm on a tractor and I'm in a field. But I'm a contractor. I have no land, no cattle, no single farm payment, no nothing. And I was getting phone calls the next day from lads I've been involved with, and they said the Department of Agriculture was scrambling the whole day the next day to find out who was this fella that attacked, verbally attacked McConlogue. They wanted to know who I was. And if I was a farmer, I was in serious trouble.
Yeah.
No, but they couldn't do nothing to me.
No, but you see, if you had single farmer, they'd be out there, a team of them nearly with white coats on them looking for some sort of a problem.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Look at this. It's only we'll get going again now this winter. We'll be watching out for meetings here, there, and everywhere. But we went down to Mullingar another night. There was a Fine Gael meeting, and it was a think-in for coming up to the last election.
Yes.
And Peter Burke was running the meeting, and he had his top people from the area, and they were sitting at round tables. And we went down. I brought 2 tractors down. The tractor with a big 3,500 gallon slurry tanker and a big sign on the back of it saying "No farmers, no food," and a big tractor and trailer and a lot of lads from down there. We just went in, landed the whole lot at the door of the hotel. I jumped off the tractor, didn't stop walking until I was in the room. And a lad running after me down the corridor. It's a private meeting. And I said, you should lock the door then. And in I went. Walked right over. There was a spare table. Sat down. They stopped the meeting straight away. Eventually, you have to leave. No, I don't have to leave. I'm here now, say, I'm not going anywhere. So eventually Amanda was there. I said, carry on with the meeting. Let the man, involve himself. This was coming up to the election. This meeting was to come up with plans for the canvass and how they'd go about, canvassing. So they went round the tables then, what ideas did you come up with? And the people had them wrote down. Out of all these people, they came up with 3 ideas in that room. Number 1, build more houses. Number 2, shorten hospital waiting lists. And then number 3 was support for the farmers. And when they said that, I let a shout. I said, that wasn't even on. I just put that on when I came in. Yeah. And I just said, this is an absolute joke.
Oh, it's nonsense.
That's what they came up with. If it was a room full of first-class children, you'd say, I will now come up with something better than that.
Go back.
Yeah, we all know them problems exist. They couldn't come up with anything else.
No.
You know what I mean?
But they're not even... That's not even a solution. That's only highlighting the problem.
Highlighting the problem. That's like me pulling in here to you and I saying, I have a problem here. James, can you help me with the Jeep? And you said, oh, jeez, yeah, I'll help you. You have a flat wheel.
Yeah.
Right. Well, can you help me with it? Well, I'm after telling you it's a flat wheel.
Yeah, and a tyre man living beside you. I wouldn't even tell them that.
But you know what I mean? No, but they can't solve problems. And I have a theory, and people is going to get insulted when they hear this, but they shouldn't if they have a brain. Most of the politicians are school teachers, right? Nothing wrong with school teachers. We need teachers to teach us. They're trying to teach queer stuff now, but teachers were good people. But we'll say you can be qualified for around 25 years of age, you could be a qualified teacher, and you couldn't have a permanent job. So you could teach for 20 years, and then you could decide, I think I'll go into politics. So you're still relatively young, you're only 45. You get elected, you're a backbencher. Within the space of a couple of years, before you're 50, you're a TD or you're a minister. And all of a sudden, you're running this country. And your life has consisted of You were born, you were reared, you went to school, you went to secondary school, you went to college, you became a teacher. You never worked a weekend, you never worked a bank holiday, you never, you could have been a bad teacher, you'd never have been sacked.
Yeah.
You really just had to turn up and put in your time. And now all of a sudden, you're the Minister for Health, maybe, you're the Minister for Education, or the Minister for... You haven't a clue how to organise the day-to-day running of a multi-billion pound industry that you're sort of running.
Yeah.
How could you? You're not out. You haven't been in the thick of it. Business people know how to solve problems. There's no way somebody that was self-employed running a business would leave it until the schools are already open to sign contracts for school buses.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They just wouldn't happen.
No.
But this is what we're left with.
It is, but the frightening aspect of that too is they do know how to keep it going. They are not concerned about the economy in totality. What they are concerned about is their little system within it that keeps their wages paid every week. And I've said this to several times, imagine tomorrow morning a right man went in and says, right, I'm going to solve all of this now. Half of the staff would be gone once it was solved.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you know what I mean?
That's right.
And I'll tell you, there's plenty of people in the HSE wouldn't thank you for solving the problems. So they wouldn't.
Yeah.
I've said that to herself, she has some experience of that. I says, geez, if I got in there, I says, he wouldn't be happy. She says, why is that? I says, I'd have half the fucking place sacked.
No, but anything to do with government, anything to do with is too management heavy.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's all management. So it is. And there's only and then when there's actually a job to be done, they have to hire it out to the private sector.
But there's one for you at the moment there. You have all of these children going to school in Ireland at the moment. You get talking to any of them and you say, all right, what did you learn about artificial intelligence this week? Nothing. What did you learn about cryptocurrency technology this week? Nothing. Right. Did you learn how to code or that? No. So all of these new industries, and they used to be talking about this knowledge economy and all that, so they're not teaching them about it. Do you know, you can use AI for one time. If you were writing out a description of this, right, you'd have to say, this week we met Christopher Duffy, and he'd have to be watching like a hawk to see, right, I need Christopher's name, I need his business, I need his history, all the rest of it. Sure, AI will do that now for you in, 20 seconds? Yeah. Do you know? It'll have a full description of me up, a full description of you up. And we're not teaching young people this.
No, but even go simpler than that. Teach kids, for God's sake, no child should leave secondary school without being able to do CPR even. You know what I mean? Yeah. Being able to resuscitate somebody, be able to, the basics of drive and things like this. It's like maths. It's like, I was bright enough when I started in school, now young and that. And then I remember when we got to maths, as I said, once we brought the letters into maths, that was it. It was over for me.
Yeah, the algebra. Yeah,
Yeah. And you know what? You could be anything. You could be an accountant now, and you're not using algebra. No. What is it? What is it about? Yeah. I don't know. I know there's all these different things, but look, as I say, it's just a circus. It's not the civil service, it's the civil circus. Do you know what I mean? And if you're in it, a friend of mine got a great job with Irish Water, and he didn't even want the job because he enjoyed the job he had, but it was just like you couldn't tone it down.
Yeah.
And the joke just be, you'd say to him, well, are you busy today? And you just laugh,
He was reading the Farmer's Journal or that.
I know. And the way down here, there was work going on one of the big roads, and there was more cones out, and there was a lorry up warning you that you had to move over in the lane, and there was this, that, that. They were doing one of these things, I don't even know what they are. You see them every so often on big roads. There's a box, and then there's a little windmill beside them, and there's a load of little bits and pieces.
Yeah.
They put in one of them. Well, there was definitely 6 vehicles, and there was one fella kicking a bit of clay with his boot, and there was nothing going on. Now, I guarantee you they were probably a week working at that. If that was handed out to somebody in the private sector and said, now, we want that done, over the weekend, You know, when the road is quiet, that'll be done, no problem.
But sure, I had to do that bastard course, SLG, Signs, Lighting and Garden, a 3-day one. And that's just to go out on the road you set out, because you're not insured without it. It's that simple. So I remember going down and for 3 days talking about signposts and cones and this, that and the other. I says to your man in the latter end, I says, do you know, I says, wouldn't life be fair simpler if everyone wasn't a bollocks? And he started laughing. He says, yeah. But he says, you have to make allowances for them. And I says, why? Do you know, why do we have to make allowances for these Luthermans?
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? Like, but look at, James, this is the way it's going. And I'll tell you, when you're running a business and you're having young lads coming to work for you and everything like that, and, like I do look back at myself when I was 16 and 17 and 18, we'll say, and then I look at the young lads now, and I'm kind of going, Jesus, I was a lot better than them when I was that age. And it's not their fault. No. Because we didn't have a phone. Yeah. You know, I'm of that age that I didn't have a phone till I had a car before I had a phone. You know, and the phone has destroyed everything. And the young lads now, they're sitting at night and they're sitting on a chair looking at a computer, and they're in a chair with speakers coming out and everything, and they're talking to different lads on it. Jesus, when we were young, we were in cars and we were out acting the who, but look at we didn't do any harm. Yeah. You know what I mean? But we were out and about and we were living. Yeah. Do you know? And you know, it's like in the tractors there, you see us there, and the young lads as well, they never listen to the radio. Now, I know there's nothing on the radio, only propaganda anyway, but still, I like listening to the radio. And if God will, if there's something happening, if there's a crash between our place and Dublin, you'll hear about it. If there's something, there's nothing, they never listen to the radio. Their phone is connected and they're listening to their music. And I do laugh when you're going up the field and you're passing another lad maybe close beside him, and all of a sudden the radio goes on to his phone, because his phone is connected to this tractor as well, and you're going, what shite is he listening to? Yeah. But there could be a meteorite heading for the field, and I'd hear about it, and I'd head for the gate, and yon lad would never know what's coming, because they're not clued in at all.
But there's an interesting one for you, and I think we were on about that before here, Darren. Do you know, when we were young, I'm a bit younger than ye, but Glenroe was on that time. Everyone watched it.
Yes.
And at least, I think it was on a Sunday night or that.
On Sunday night, yeah.
But at least Monday morning, you'd say to your mate, did you see it last night? I did, yeah. And now, should they have nothing in common at all? No. They haven't watched something the same. They haven't, you know.
Yeah.
Everyone is living in their own little bubbles out there.
And I'll tell you, we were their own spuds. I was supposed to come up to years before, and I cut and we were beyond it in Bettystown, beyond which would be the Riviera of County Meath. Yes. We were coming out through a housing estate, and there was a big playground, and there was kids playing, and I was looking at the parents, and the mothers are sitting there, and they're all on their phones, on the benches. The kids could be abducted, they wouldn't see them been gone. They could lift their heads and go, geez, where are they gone? Then you see maybe young lads, 10 years of age, 11 years of age. I've seen a group of 4 of them walking along the footpath together, each of them looking at their own phones. They're not even talking to one another. And I do pity them.
Yeah.
And you know that cartoon where it shows a big hole?
Yeah,
and you have everyone's walking and they're all looking at the phones, and everyone walks into the hole.
Yeah,
you know, and our heads are stuck in the phones, but not to the same extent.
Well, I think we can remember life before them.
But sure we can. I remember daydreaming.
Yeah.
I remember.
What was it, Flower? Is it being bored? Do you remember that? Do you remember being bored?
Being bored. Yeah.
There's no such thing as that anymore.
No. And being able to, like, I do think, like, emptying septic tanks and that is part of our job and that. So you'd need the air code for the houses and the, you know, and everything. Now, in 1999, I started, now I was born in 79, so when I was 20, I was spreading fertilizer on the country, right? Bulk fertilizer. And there was no phone, you had a phone, there was a brick, you know what I mean? And you got directions.
Yeah.
And you might be spreading on 5 different farms in the day, and you'd go to a farm and you'd have 5 different places you had to spread, and it was directions, and you'll know the field because when you go in the gate, there's an old trailer with the axle off it into the gate. That's how you. Now, if I sent one of my lads off with directions to do a job somewhere,
Yeah.
they'd never be seen again.
No.
Do you know? Because that's gone, the thinking. Do you know what? You'd be thinking of landmarks. Yeah, I'd be thinking of, there's a big red house there, or there's this, or there's that, you know.
Yeah.
But no, it's if the phone dies, like I got an air code to come down here to use.
Yeah.
Right? Brought me to the door.
Yeah.
If something happened to phone between here and Carrigan, I'd have had to get directions, or one of you would nearly have to come and get me.
Yeah.
Do you know?
No, but we direct you.
You
here
direct,
at Handel.
yeah.
But I remember the first time we went to England, myself and Anthony, we were gifted, what's the called? The one, do you know, before the GPS was on the phone.
You had a sat nav, the GARM.
We got the sat nav, the awful correct, but we got the sat nav, and the sat nav brought us to Rosslare, you know. And anyways, we were on the boat over Fishguard. We went from Rosslare to Fishguard.
Yeah.
I says to him, "Is England on this sat nav?"
Yeah.
And he went, "Huh?" I said, "Is England on it?" Jeez, I don't know, he says. Jeez, I said,
I'm sure the lad in the boat knows where it is.
I said, well, geez, we may buy a fucking map, I said, just in case.
Yeah.
Well, damn me, we got to Fishguard and went to load up this thing. Not a blind thing. I just knew you had left Ireland, that was all. And we went from Fishguard to 19 Vineyard Street in Liverpool, $2 that had never been outside the country.
Yeah.
With this bastard and big fold-out map. It was the best education you ever got, so it was.
Yeah.
Came up through all these valleys of sheep and all that. Jeez, we got there.
The old truck drivers is the best ever.
Ah, yeah.
They could bring you anywhere.
They're geniuses.
Well, our address at home, my address is Knock, right? Knock Castledown. It'd be Castledown, Kilpatrick. But Jesus, it could be 10, 12 years ago. Oh, it's longer. And my father would always be sweeping and tidying and out along the road, you know, and this, that. And all of a sudden, this little car pulled up, and it was, I'd say, it was a hired out car, and it was a Polish family or something like this. And the only one of them that could speak any good of English was the little lassie. She was only about 12, I'd say. And she said, she wanted directions to the church, right? And I appeared anyway, and my father goes, "Oh yeah, it's just down here. You keep going. The church is on the right, opposite the pub, you know." And the little lassie was translating this back to the mother and father. And then the mother said something, and the little lassie said to me, "Father, it's a famous church that Our Lady appeared in." It's just, I don't think she was ever there now. And I said, it's Knock in Mayo they're looking for, say, and they came from Dublin, and they put Knock in the phone. Now, look, we're only 40 minutes from Dublin.
Yes.
And here they landed in our village.
Yeah.
And Daddy goes, no, do you know? And she said, "Are we far away?" And I, about 2.5 hours, I'd say. And she, "How do you get there?" And my father started to give her directions, and he goes, "Right, well, you go down here to the end of the road and turn right, and go on over there, and then the end of the road, turn right again, then turn left, and that'll bring you." And I stop now, say. I said, "She's lost already." And I remember my other sister was at home, and she brought the lassie in. Like, when you think back, I said, now a little lassie at 12 being brought into a stranger, and my sister done on the computer a route map, you know what I mean, and gave it to her, and they went off, and the whole lot. And you know, I'd be classed as a racist, you know. You'd imagine I should have ran them away.
At first sight. Get off me.
But I just said, there's the sat nav. They came from Dublin and the land. And it wasn't that far at all.
But when we had the Airbnb here, you'd roar laughing at it. A fella from Palestine landed, right? And he was
looking for Catherine Connolly, was he?
I don't know what he was. Geez, he was a fierce, nice fella, to be honest.
Maybe. Yeah.
But he was living in, what's the name of it? Belgium.
Right.
But they had heard all about Ireland, and he wanted Bobby Sands and the whole lot. And geez, he landed for a full tour of Ireland.
He was a sort of a Republican.
Very Republican Palestinian. But anyways, the brother was a butcher. Right? And the next thing, he was here in the Airbnb, and he was taking photos of the lambs. Couldn't get it out of his head.
But the menu, was it?
Nothing had served this man better. But he had to find out all about lambs in Ireland and how much it had cost them to bring to Belgium and the whole fucking lot.
Yeah.
And I was clashed as the biggest racist in fucking Sligo at the time, right? And this fella chirping away at lambs. And I said, "You know where I'll bring you, I says? And you'll get to see the full fucking variance of, what's it called?" He said, "I'll bring you Clonymart." So, I land to Clonymart with the Palestinian along with me. And I'm going from pen to pen, telling him about the weights and the prices and the whole American Cork production. I thought you were a racer. No, I says, he's all right. I says, he's sort of a Republican anyway. So, but that was the crack. But that fella had gone the full way around Ireland on his own accord. And I said it to my mother and father. I says, you know, you can't. Most Irish people haven't seen the country at all.
Honest to God.
They've never gone outside their own little... This man had been to Belfast, Derry, down to Galway, Limerick. He had been all around the country. And I says to myself, with all the travelling I've done, I haven't seen all Ireland.
But you look at, I walked in the fields around Newgrange and I was never in it. You know, Newgrange went beside me.
Have you never been there?
They're coming from all... I think as children we were into it one time from the school and that was it. But no, I was out in the field beside it walking.
Isn't it wild too? Because you have people travelling from all over the world.
All over. But go back to you see, that's the whole problem. And this is where we are, James, now. And this whole racism thing. And look, it's starting days off a bit because how could you be a racist? How, like... Everything we do, we deal with people in different nationalities.
Yeah.
When you go into the hospital, I have a friend who has a Polish girlfriend and they have a couple of kids and the young lads with me. I stood for one of the children. That farm I was on doing the spuds. There was about 10 Brazilians working on it. They're grading there the whole time. The first thing you do in the morning is say hello to them and have the chat with them. And you know something in this country, and I've seen it over the years. On a lot of farms where there'll be foreigners working on that, I'd be extra nice to them because they're a long way from home.
Yeah.
And I'd think if it was me that was a doubt in Poland working or somewhere, I'd want to be treated well. Yeah. And I've never seen, and this whole thing about calling us racist simply because we don't want dangerous strangers walking around that nobody was on about, it's a cop-out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Throw on the label. Throw on the label because I have nothing else to say.
No, there is nothing. But sure, I do laugh about it. I'd have more in common with a lot of the fellas working in the factories and that than I would some big-headed prick in D4 who says, and then they're mighty at this. They're not coming to my area. But if you refuse them in your area, I'll tell you you're a racist. There's a little hotel after being stopped there in one of them parts of Dublin now. And what they were quoting was that their house price would go down. How come they can make that point?
Well, you see, that's it. But look at what we're looking at all the time, James. It's as I say, it's getting boring at this stage, isn't it?
Yes.
It's just getting and now there's that many U-turns. I never seen so much U-turns in my life. When you have Harris coming out now in the last week and saying there's too many migrants. So is he racist now?
Well, I was vexed about that.
Is he far right?
I was vexed about that.
Yeah.
Because I says to myself, when a man is on charges for fighting, you at least have the common decency to go down with your guns, you bastard.
Yeah.
As I says, I would have been content if they fought till the better end.
No.
But they gave up on it.
No, give up. And now go to a totally different thing here. You have Bill Gates now is saying climate change isn't really a problem.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
Well, can I get me carbon tax money back?
No, you
can't. There's a right
get
lump of it gone now at this stage.
No, you won't be getting the tax back.
But what's happening, James?
They're running out of fiddles.
Right.
I'll tell you, I was only on to, who was it? I think it was me and you. Yeah, me and
you. You and me, sure. I didn't know a thing about it.
I was out for a few pints Friday night and a lad said to me, I was in the back, we were in the shopping drawer and I said to you, man, this is 20 years ago. He said, we went up to the boat, we were throwing spuds up to a boat. And I went in and I said to the Tommy Leddy, was his name, he used to have the sound shop in Drogheda and he used to be doing ads. And I went in and I said, I want a Dundamy, I want a Dundamy chin. What are you looking for? A Dundamy chin. What's that? And he said,
No, China made a rake of these solar panels. They reckon they have so many solar panels done now that they've ran out of the need to make solar panels. Then the electric car, no one wants to buy the bastard thing. That's the bit that
and what they're doing now is they're telling lies.
Yeah.
They're coming out and saying that the electric car is outselling the diesel and the petrol car.
No, it's not.
But where are they? If that's the case, how are they charging them then? You go into a big Apple Green filling station, everyone's at the pumps, and there's one lad beyond to sleep in his Tesla beyond. Yeah. And you know what? You'd be tempted when you walk away to pull the car out.
Yeah, no, they're not.
No.
And I was laughing there myself and herself, going back before I had the trouble of course, that we were over in Amsterdam, and all the taxis was, Teslas. Right, jeez, I thought this was very confusing. I says, Jesus, I can't understand this. But got chatting to a fella, now a Moroccan fella, it was sound as a pound. Why did you
Geez,
go?
you're talking to a lot of these foreigners.
Oh, I'm telling you, I do. Because
I'm worried with you, James.
well, you see, it's an awful bastard when you go out foreigners, full of foreigners.
Oh, I know.
They're everywhere, so there. But anyway, he says they were told by the government they'd get free supercharger, right?
Right.
And he says, anyone running a car for nothing when you're a taxi man, he says, that's a great deal.
Yeah.
So all you do is you buy the car, you run it for free, and then you charge people for going around. Makes perfect business. He says, what we weren't told was there'd only be one supercharger for every 20 in the taxi cars. So he says, it's like a battle at night time to try and get a spot at it. And you see, these is the fiddles. They never told them.
But you see, them taxis now, they come with added. You can get alloy wheels. You can get them, and then you can get the hole in the floor.
Yes,
you can do Freddie Flintstone. You can put the fee out.
Great job, says you.
But
He'll run her anywhere.
It's backwards we're going, lad.
The countryside.
It's unbelievable.
I was watching there. I'm a devil for that YouTuber but it was.
I don't watch that. It's only YouTube.
That's great, correct. But this is out in Romania.
I click past you most of them, but no,
they're out in Romania, and it was one of them big horses, and I'm pulling this little car around. And I says to myself, if the Greens do get away with it in Ireland, that's how they'll have everyone working. So it is. Thank God that Eamon Ryan fella's gone, but he was only a sort of a scapegoat for what they were doing anyways.
Yeah. But look, the madness about it, it's only when you stand back and talk about it. AdBlue, right?
Yeah.
You've an old tractor that doesn't take AdBlue.
You're probably always wondering what these bottles are all about. I'll give you three heads up.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you buy one and it takes AdBlue.
Folks, what we're going to talk about now is beaters.
more
I base my
environmentally
bottles around beaters,
right.
and the benefits of the
AdBlue,
beater is
there's your-
it boosts
your thing
athletic
of AdBlue,
performances,
right.
stroke prevention, and that's what it
There has
does.
to be a
Massively
factory
helps benefit the heart.
built
It's a natural
to make
immune
that
booster.
AdBlue.
Listen,
There
I will
has
look
to
for
be
the health
whatever
thing, the bottle, say
ingredients goes
natural
into
immune
it,
booster.
pixie
We're not allowed
dust
to take,
and
but the bottom line is, when by any
yes.
4 weeks,
Yeah.
you're not
To spray it in at your
you're not
exhaust to
reduced
stop it.
overnight. So if you try it for 4 weeks,
Packaging,
it'll cost you no more than about
transport,
€48.
you know what I mean?
What's not
All
right
this
with that?
nonsense to blow it in at an exhaust system and blow whatever into the air. It's
When the
also
storm
create
hits and the
more
power
of a
goes out,
carbon footprint
you shouldn't
before
be
you
left
even
stuck.
get it.
The
Pour
handcrafted
it into
Donnelly
your
rocket
vehicle,
stove
plastic
gives you
drums,
reliable
roll
cooking
them around,
anywhere,
etc.
anytime.
more environmentally
Using just
friendly
small
than
bits
that
of
you're putting
wood,
in.
it's efficient,
Right?
eco-friendly,
So now
and
all of a
built to
sudden,
last.
we have
Cook
that
outdoors with
tractor
confidence,
subsidy now. This one
whether
here is
it's
on
for
that
emergencies,
So this tractor
camping,
goes
or
out now,
everyday
it has to
use.
agitate
Order
slowly.
yours today at
And it has to get the
donnellystoves.com
slowly agitated
and use code Conway
in a way that it can
EXP
be
for
spread
€10 off your order.
environmentally friendly with a dribble valve. So where we used to stick it in and spend an hour's mixing and go, oh, that'll do rightly. Do you know what I mean? It's still thick, but we'll be able to lash it out with a splash plate. Now we have to agitate for 3 or 4 hours. We have to draw water in, possibly from a river or something, to get it suitable to spread. So to do the environmentally friendly job, we've built a factory, we've had to buy AdBlue, we've had to drive to the shop to get, we've had to put in a plastic wrapper, we've had to buy a slurry tanker with a dribble bar on it. It has to be made in another factory as well. It has to be delivered by a lorry, it has to be this and other. We have to use 3 hours agitating when we only used to use one, burning diesel into the environment. And now we have to come in with a dribble bar and it has to spread the slurry, and it's more expensive than ever. And this is all to be more environmentally friendly.
No one's talking about it at all. Do you know, years ago, there was a worse smell out in the field. Well, there was a reason for that. It was the smell was still on the slurry. If you spend 4 or 5 hours agitating the thing above the shed, you've released every bit of methane or whatever was in that. That's all gone into the air above where the shed is.
But it's so ridiculous. And they don't want to know, because that Oisin Coughlin Friends of the Air thing was on the radio one evening, and I was listening to him, and I said, I'm going to email that fella, And I emailed him a whole thing about how spreading the slurry with this low emission system is totally counterproductive. We're putting way more emissions into with the diesel we're having to burn. And you get this automated reply. Thanks for your email. And
I think you're a wanker.
thanks for your email. Fuck off. You know what I mean? I don't like what you're saying. You're probably right, but I don't like what you're saying. And they don't even want to engage with you.
No, but I remember, like, you go back to, what was it, the bone mead. Do you know, them was the experts at the time, and it ended up in, what was it, BSE or that, or Mad Cow disease or that.
Yeah.
Now, are you telling me at that time that nobody talked to a farmer and says, "Do you know, Jesus, you're a long time keeping cattle. Did you ever see an occasion where a cow died in a field and the rest of the cows gathered round and says, "Do you know something, we'll eat the cunt, will we? This old grass is not great." Sure, anyone that had a sense of how nature works would have said, you can't feed bones to animals.
No.
Not you can for carnivore or that, but not for herbivore. And the expert says, no, it's good protein, put it into the food, and then all of a sudden you have a new disease out of it. Then, what's it called? There was another one I was roaring laughing. This re-wetting of the bog. Right, that's fair enough. But if you block up that bog, that water is going to have to travel. So naturally enough, the good field that's beside the bog is going to be wet too, isn't it?
Of course.
Oh,
That's the whole
no.
problem. But you look at mad cow disease never went away. You just want to go out to any town of a Saturday night.
I'll take the chipper, you'll see plenty of it.
But the re-wetting is scandalous.
Oh, it's bad.
It's unreal. And when you mention the bogs, like what's going on with the land grabbing of the bogs and everything.
Oh, it's terrible.
Now, do you know, like I was down on that Liam Gorman's bog a couple of times and never met the man. He was away and that, but you know, and
you were lucky. He might have thought you were one of the boys.
well, funny enough,
you could have been lucky.
well, funny. Oh, I was waving a white flag, but
it's how I do approach every farm here at the moment.
funny enough, the first day I went down, I had an air coat, went down, and I went down this long lane. I came to a closed gate.
Yes.
And I said, "Jeez, what will I do now?" And I turned around and went back, and I drove round all the roads. I had a great sense of direction, you know, that sort of way. I know which way to go round and that. And I ended up, and I came back to where I was again. And I said, "No, this is where it is. The yard is down here." Still could make no progress. And there was a man on the lane mowing his lawn and clipping hedges, an old man. And I pulled up with him, and I said, "I'm looking for Liam Gorman. I'm looking for the bog." And he, "Who are you?" And I said, "No." And I told him who I was and where I'm from. I said, "No, I'm coming to support him." Right, and he said, "We'll go down. I know where the key is. We'll go down to the yard." And he came down and we opened the gate and we went on down into the yard. Well, he never done anything. He praised the man from he got in beside me.
Yeah.
He said, "It's shocking what they're doing to that man. And I have old tractors there and he'd do anything. This old man brought me down then." Look, long story, we went down, walked around Liam's yard. There was nobody there. It was deserted. There was after been literally more war there the day before. The next day was peaceful. Back up to this old man's house, tea and apple tart, lovely retired couple, and he brought me into his shed. Oh, he had a shed full of vintage machinery. It was unreal. But while we were having the tea, a lock of vans went down the lane and a jeep. And he said to me, "Just there's Yoke's heading down. We'll go back down and see who that is." And there was another few supporters as well. And then I left that day. There was a few neighbours and that. I was under no illusion that was a good man.
Yeah.
And there was an old man who had a neighbouring bog. And I asked him out straight to say, "Look, I don't know. Am I wasting my time? It's nearly 2-hour drive down here, you know." I know. He said, "What's going on here is wrong." He said, "There was none of this land sold." He said, "Something may have been signed," but he said it was signed under, you know.
False
Yeah.
pretense.
You know, and what's going on down there is just desperate. And lads coming in dressed as security and actually impersonating guards.
Yeah. Seen them with the blue and white.
Yeah.
on them and all.
He's a hardy man, and that man is not well. That man is not well now. And the farmers of Ireland, and then I met another few bogmen, lads from Kildare and different places are going through the same thing. And aeroplanes, there's an aeroplane takes off below an Abbey Shrewl in Longford, and it flies around them bogs every day, watching what's going on.
Yeah, it's scandalous.
Yeah.
It is absolutely scandalous.
Yeah.
though, I think.
And they want to put windmills on them. They want to put windmills down there on that bog.
Well, there's two gentlemen not too far. You know exactly who I'm talking about, Darren, that are still cutting with the... And still Neddy in the cars bringing them in and that. He was down with them one day, and I says, "Jeez," I said, "It's a sad state of affairs to think you're criminals." And if they were caught at that, they would be fucking fined for it.
Yeah.
Two men that's lived now, do you know, they're in their 50s now. This is how they were reared.
No. But it's our culture. It's our Irish culture, and it's been taken away from us. But it's been taken away from us under false pretenses. If there was a climate problem that was man-made, and doing all these things was helping it, was turning it around, you'd go along with it. But it's total lies. It's all about money. It's complete nonsense. And the windmills too, the solar farms. Now, up round us, James, the land round me is, you could grow anything in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You go in and you plough 18 inches to grow spuds in it. You could, there's lads, the big 500 herds of cows, there's everything. And there's 1,000 acres of planning permission at the moment for solar panels, just up the road from me, you might say.
Yeah.
Up round Ashbourne, Duleek, up them areas, it's unreal.
Yeah.
County Meath is going to have, if all the planning permission that's been looked for at the moment goes through, County Meath will have 20% of the solar panels in the entire country. County Meath will. And like nearly every acre in County Meath is a productive acre.
Yeah, but this is my problem with it, right? You have all down here, you know, some of it is good for farming, but a lot of it is not, right? And I know people will say, oh, well, you have the cloud cover and stuff like that. Well, if you didn't want the panels, you could go for the wind or that. We're not approaching this from a food security point of view. If you're another place there in Cork, he stopped dairy and he's going at solar.
He was the biggest dairy man in the country.
So how can you do that? How can you take the most productive land in the country and fucking cover it?
It's absolutely sinful. And what people don't realise is, in a community, when land has been farmed, well, say you have a 100-acre block of ground, and there's cattle on it, or there's tillage on it, or whatever's on it, as long as that's been farmed in an agricultural way, that land is contributing to the local area, whether it's every couple of years buying fence posts, buying fertiliser, looking after the ground, buying sprays, contractors coming in to work, cutting hedges, dosing cattle, all these things.
Yeah.
And even if it's as little as the lads coming to work on the land, pulling in at the local shop to get their rolls and their grub and the whole lot, you either plant that in forestry, and the forestry should be in bad. Like, we have great land being planted too, which is wrong. And but you plant it or put solar panels in it, close the gate. That's it. There's no more. And even when they're building these solar panels, the local economy gets nothing out of it.
No.
Everything's drew in from outside. And why is these solar farms, these big companies, why are they not buying land? Why have they no heed in buying land anymore?
Because the land to them is not the asset that we think it is.
Yeah.
Because the land to them is just... But, and I'll make this point to you there, Christopher. Would it not make more sense for that company to go to the farmers and say, Jesus, the vast majority has slatted sheds, and I'm going to give you a few pounds to put my panel above on your shed. And then you wouldn't be using up productive land. And you'd be giving the farmer himself a few pounds to rent that area or that. No, they've no interest in that. No. We're going to cover a full field with it.
And like, it happened in England. It happened in England where farmers signed up leases for £1,000 an acre or whatever it was for solar. 2 years into the thing, the company went bust.
Yes.
Then the farms lay there idle with no income for nearly 2 years. And then another company came back and approached them, but the most they'd give them is 500 an acre.
Yeah.
But it was the same crowd.
Yeah.
It was the same executives, the same, all the directors of this company, but they were under a new name.
Well, I'll tell you a good one now, and I can see it happening. They'll get there a couple of years out of Jan Yuck until she's about 30% productive, right? And they'll go wallop. It's like an old Pakistani accountant told me one time, dissolved is resolved.
Yeah.
It's done. What if Mr. County Council writes you a letter? How are you doing, Johnny? It appears that you have 500 acres of the most toxic waste this world has ever seen. And you'll be getting rid of that, Johnny. And you're going to have to, no more than the asbestos. It's not just your local recycling centre it goes to, Johnny. It has to go to Germany. And Johnny goes, but sure, I don't own it. But it's on your land, Johnny, isn't it? Yeah. That's why they're not buying the land. Yeah. They're renting it to you because it'll be you that'll be covering up the clusterfuck at the latter end of it.
And then if the farmer passes away during this time or whenever it happens, and he leaves that land is no longer agricultural, it's gone into commercial use.
That's right.
And there's a total different implication to passing it on. Like, I don't know, I think it's a very sad time, because I love the land, I love Ireland, and every field within a 5 or 6 mile radius of my house I've been in.
Yeah.
As a child, walking through them, sitting as a passenger up on tractors with lads, and now in the last 30 years contracting them myself. And I see planning commission up and I say, Jesus, them fields are going to be gone.
Yeah.
And, you know, not only that, your views of the countryside covered in glass. That's sinful.
But there's places with mighty stories to them. Like, there's a big long field outside Balnacarra, and what's it called? I was driving in a Land Cruiser with a man, and he says, it was actually my grandfather, he says, that ploughed that, he says, with 2 horses. Yeah. And he could remember.
Yeah.
Like, every field has a story to it, sort of. Especially up here. Do you know all the stone walls and that? That's all stone that they gathered in the fields and brought them out and built the walls with.
Sure, I asked that one time we were on holidays in Darren Islands, and I said that to a lad on the little bus that was bringing us round. I said, Jesus, why did they make the field so small? And he said, because they were gathered in the stones.
That's where we're going.
And I said, well, you'd imagine they'd moved them now. Oh, he said, you can't move them now. They're protected now. I said, should they have a transport box now?
Yeah.
No, he said, you can't do it now.
No,
you know. But look at you. See, what's wrong too is that, you see, the farming is in. I have no farm, but farming is in my blood, because it was I did come from farming people, and if I got into money, if I won the lotto, it was like, I remember them $2 on the radio, the 2 boys, the 2 Johnnies were on about farmers are terror. He said, if you're talking to a farmer and he wins the lotto, he said, you ask somebody, you know, on the street, the one that, why are they going to do it? Oh, I'm going to go on a Caribbean cruise, you know, or I'm going to, put in a swimming pool, and I'm going to pay off my mortgage and all my family. So, you mean a farmer? And you say, you won the lot, what are you going to do? Just, I'll buy more cows.
Yeah.
And he goes, the farmer's buying himself more work.
Yeah.
But that's it, you see. That's the drug.
Yeah.
You know, there's no cure for that addiction.
No. And then the other side.
Well, sorry, there is. Keep doing it.
Yeah.
That's the cure. You keep doing it, and you make a success of yourself. But I don't know.
You see, the trouble with it, with every 10 years that passes, there's less and less people who are familiar with it. And I've noticed that there's a lot of houses now, even farming families, and a lot of the children has nothing to do with the farm at all.
No.
At all?
No.
I've seen that.
And in some cases, the parents don't want them to find to do it.
No.
Because they don't want them to be in the hardship. You know, they don't want them. And I don't think that's right either, because farming doesn't have to be hardship. You know what I mean? It's.
Well, in my opinion, I might have a different opinion to a lot of people now, but Jesus, it's not as bad now as it was years ago. As a lifestyle, it's not.
It's not that bad. And a lot of it is down to method too, and that. Like, look, I see some poor farmers, and they're always in hardship.
Yeah.
And it's just simply because they won't get allowed in to put up proper fences. They won't get in, you know what I mean?
Yes, yeah.
And the cattle's breaking out, and oh, jeez, the phone is ringing. And, you know, if the phone got fences, that wouldn't be happening. Things like that. If you want to have no hardship, you won't. There'll always be a bit, and you're always going to be married to it to a certain extent. But a lot of big dairy farmers now up our way, they put in savage hours.
Yeah.
It's incredible now, the hours to put in.
Yeah.
You know, and then some of the other farmers is begrudging them a bit. You know, they're saying the tillage men and the beef men will be begrudging them a bit, saying, oh, fucking dairy men there, you know. And I'd say, I don't think you'd like to put in the hours they do, because a tillage man has a harvest a lot of time.
And a planting
and a season, and they have a 3 or 4 month busy period. Then it just eases right back, you know what I mean, to a handy pace.
Yeah.
The dairy thing never stops.
Yeah.
You know.
And I thought God forgive me for saying it, I thought the farmer with the nicest lifestyle was a mountain farmer out this direction, because they didn't bring them in for lambing. They brought them in once a year to clip them. There was one man, or an old man, and I was a great admirer of him here. He used to go out with the dogs bring in enough lambs to fill a diner, bring them to the mare, drink all day and go home.
Yeah.
I thought he had a lovely lifestyle side.
Well, in
he really had it solved.
The lads below in the Cooley Mountains before the fucking mount, and all they had above on the mountains was an old white cab on
a sticker board, oh yeah. But it what's it called? It was great fun down here. I think it was Headage that time or something, wasn't it? There used to be great swapping and switching going on down here as well. So there was.
But I just, Jane, there's a push to make farming difficult, and there's a lot of farmers who, like, the TB thing is out of control.
Oh yeah,
and they're not getting to the bottom of it. And there's a lot of farmers, really, you have a big farmer milking 300 cows, and then all of a sudden there's 150 of them gone out the gate in a lorry. And them cows were perfect. Them cows were producing massive amounts of milk. And you look at them going, there's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But how can you have an eradication program and it was never worse? Sure, surely to God, if you were running a business, you'd say, geez, lads, we're doing something wrong here. So we are.
Yeah, but they don't want to get rid of the badgers. They're talking about the badger. Like, what addition is he? And there is some farms have badgers and no TB.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you see you have a problem with greenways. It happened up our way. The railway was all turned into a greenway, and all the movement and that of the earth moved the badgers out of their comfort and sent them out into the farms.
Yeah.
And it's widely known that that's causing a major problem. But
what about Rudolph?
The deer.
Aye.
Yeah. I never hear the deer mentioned, but up our way with TB.
Jeez, I think they are a big problem down here.
Yeah.
The bastards has free. Hey, have you ever seen any of them up close?
Oh, Jesus. At night.
Just for a bastard.
When we'd be walking in the fields at night.
Yeah.
And you see there's a deer and you go, Jesus, there's 20 of them.
Yeah. But today here, if you see them around the forest around, to come up, it'd be sheep wire and two row of bear. It's just jumpers. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. There's no fence for the bastards at all. It's just free rein. That's it. I've never seen anything like them to travel in all my life.
Like the one in America that saw the sign on the freeway.
Yes.
For the deer cross and caution deer crossing. And she said, sure, that's shocking dangerous. Should we think they'd have a quiet place for the
set of traffic lights or something? Jesus. I was laughing there when we were on the new road below. There were 450 concrete pipes. As I was laying away at them, and it was, of course, like a bollocks. 3 or 4 days after, I was laying this run of pipes and then moving on and laying another run of pipes. And I said, this drainage, I says, because I says, it's very unusual not near a drain or that. And the man goes, oh, no. He says, that's for the animals.
The animals to
the badger. To make sure the badger wouldn't get killed above on top of the fucking road. Yeah. No, let him spread it over there as well and make sure he's alive doing it.
Oh, look, James, I don't know. But it's this whole woke. It's this whole thing now. It's not just the animals, it's the people. It's if I decide I want to be a badger tomorrow, you're supposed to accept it.
Yes.
I
don't think it'll be happening, Christopher. So, what the fuck went wrong with everyone? How was it when a man hadn't a fucking thing in his pocket? He was out digging enough for a dinner every day of the week. They all knew what they were. And then the minute that everyone is sort of halfway sound, you have food is available.
Yeah, but James, it goes back to this. It goes back to what we said earlier on about being labelled as the racist. We're also being labelled now as homophobic, right? Yeah. And we're not, because we all knew lads when we were at school that were gay. That is gay. There was a young lad not far from us, and he was gay, and when he was about 15 or 16, he sat his mother and father down, and I want to tell you something. I have to.
I'm going to tell you what you knew.
And they were, what's wrong? And now this could come as a shock to you. They were getting worried. Yeah. And he said, I'm gay. Oh, jeez, I knew that from you. 3 years of age? Says the mother. Go on about your business. Yeah. I seen a situation where, and again, I say, a young lad came into my yard at home, because he was friendly with a chap that was working in our place, and he's openly gay, and I knew he was being bullied and being badly bullied by a fella.
Yes.
That was working along with him in a job. And I said to him, I want to talk to you for a minute today. I said, come over here. I went over and I said, I hear you're having trouble with such a lad. And, oh, yeah, he's a bastard. And I said, what are you calling me, a queer and this, that, and the other, and you dirty you? And I said, you do realise, says I, that that's just him, I said. That's not the rest of us.
Yeah.
I said. And the poor devil, he got real emotional. And this chap doesn't dress as a woman. He doesn't do any of that. He doesn't go on gay pride parades.
Yeah.
He just wants to live his life the way he was born.
Yeah.
And he said, that means an awful lot, Christopher, coming from you, because you're, you know,
big, strong
you're a
man,
man, and you're... And I said, no. You, as long as you're a good person, a mannerly person, live your life well, say, you live your life how you want to live it. And I said, don't let a fucker like that, you know what I mean, ever bully you. Don't let anyone bully you. But then, in the other side of it, you have, you know, like the gay pride thing and all that. That really does infuriate me.
Yeah.
That there's parades down city streets with grown men with their arse sticking out of clothes and all this, and there's kids watching this.
Yeah.
Whereas if that was the St. Patrick's Day parade or anything else, parents would put their hand over the children's. If it came on the television, when we were young, and we were watching television, and an innocent film, I remember we watching Lethal Weapon one time. Was not the one with Mel Gibson in it? Yeah. And I think he was in a caravan with what was her name at the time? I know there was a good saucy scene, and my mother walks in, of course, at the wrong time, and us only teenagers. Oh, what he's watching, and she's standing in front of the television. That's all. Like, there's worse now openly walking down the street.
Yes.
In a gay pride.
Yeah.
Parade. And we're being called homophobic. We're not. We're just real. We're just saying that's not appropriate.
No, but you see, the funny thing for me is there's plenty of gay people who don't believe in any of that shit.
They wouldn't be seen dead.
No, and they're not listened to at all. So
No.
they're not. Like, I had a mate there.
They're mortified with it.
Yeah, I had a mate was a scaffolder. Now he was gay, but you never know it.
No.
And myself and the other book was out one night, and then the next thing there was this other book, and I says, "Geez, that's pure sound, man." He goes, "That's some flat for him." Huh? And he says, "Yeah." He says, "I did not know that." And I says, "Sure, they didn't." Sound with me.
You know, like that. In fact, like there was a lad came into the local pub years ago, and he was rude, but I was gay. And I remember there was an outlet sitting at the counter, and your man came in, and we were at the other end, and says he, "Oh, there's your man," bums to the wall. You know that? and the barmaid was there, and she said, "He's gay. He's not a fucking rapist."
He's not interested in you.
That was that out, like, but that's the and like we'll see. Look at the situation we're in with Enoch Buck and that. And like I made a point. I was down this neck of the woods. I'd say it was around the first week in September because the kids was just back to school, and I had to go down to Westport. How far are you from Westport here?
Maybe 40, 50 minutes. Will you be there?
Yeah, there's neighbours of mine would have been Land Commission Farm, and an uncle of theirs died, and I went down to the wake, and I'd be just very down the road and back, 3 hours down, 10 minutes in shaking hands, 3 hours back. But on my way down, I said to myself, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go into Brogan's in Strokestown to look around. I was giving myself a bit of time. But whatever made me think when I was below this side of Mullingar, I said, geez, no, to hell with Brogan's. I'm going up to Wilson's Hospital School.
Yes.
And I'm going to say hello to Enoch Buck. I was expecting him to be at the gate. And I pulled up, and no, there was no sign of him at the gate. And there was a lad sitting in a little car at the gate, and I parked other side, and I sort of looked up, and I could see nothing. And then I went over and knocked it. I went over and I eyed a man had a big camera on the passenger seat. He was a freelance journalist taking pictures. And I knocked on the window and I said, does Enoch Buck not be standing here now? Oh no, he's above, he said. He's actually in the school, he's in the hall. And I said, all right. And he asked me who I was. I said, I'm just somebody that I want to say hello to, do you know? Yeah. And he told me he was a journalist. And look at your man, was what nationality he was. A journalist. He didn't work for any of the papers. He'd take photographs and you'd send them in. And
get so much for them.
Yeah. And he goes, what do you want to do? And I said, I just want to shake his hand. Mm-hmm. I want to shake his hand and tell him I support him.
Yeah.
That's all I want to do. And he said, he'll appreciate that, he said, because he's a good guy. Yeah. That's what the journalist said. So we waited around, and eventually the school finished, and by God, that's some busy school. Buses, and it is unreal. Eventually down he comes walking. And my God, he's the cleanest. He's clinically clean and well turned out. Do you know, there's not a crease in him. And he's an awful lot smaller than you'd expect him to be.
Expect him.
He came down and I could see the worry in his face when he was met with me kind of coming towards him. And I put out my hand and I said, Enoch, told him my name was Christopher Duffy, and I was passing and I want to shake your hand and tell you I support you. And my whole family support you. And I said, what you're doing, you're making a stand for us all. And he just sort of looked at me and he went, thank you very much, he said.
Yeah.
And that was it. And he couldn't stand because he didn't want any hassle. And he came out the gate and he continued on. And his father was waiting for him down the road to pick him up. And I just said, look at, and because the journalist fella said to me, when you're shaking his hand, do you want me to take your picture around? I said, no, I don't want any selfies around. I said, this is nothing about that. I said, I just want to, because I know they're a funny sort of a family and they have this and other. But that man, there's none of us as brave as him.
No. He's sticking it tight.
There's none of us would do it.
He's sticking it tight. And you see, the point about it is, he's doing it simply out of religious belief. Do you know? Like, if there's a heaven in it, he'll see it.
Oh.
I have no doubt at all about it.
But there is a turn in the tide. At the start, from the very beginning, I supported him. Without a shadow of a doubt, and never wavered, right?
Yeah.
I actually followed him. The same as I knew you. I followed you years back when a lot of these people that watch this wouldn't know. You used to be on the digger making videos and that.
Yeah.
And I'd be watching you and I'd say, that man now knows what he's talking about. Talking about the economy and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's gone wrong since.
Oh, yeah. But wouldn't blame you now for that.
No. I tried my best.
But the books used to be below outside a hospital in Mayo during COVID.
Castlebar Hostels.
Castlebar.
So Darren, you know them fairly well. Darren.
Yeah, the mother and them, and there was a young man last year. Some child had died or something, and the family was totally let down and weren't into the hospital, and they were reporting on that every night. So I knew them before this whole thing broke. But when I remember putting up a thing one time on Facebook, just Googled Enoch Burke, got a picture of him, and there was a picture of him standing in front of the school. And I just wrote, I support Enoch Burke in red writing on it, and I put it on Facebook. Well, I got abuse from every corner going.
Yeah.
Well, I can do the same thing today. I must do it. Every couple of months I do it.
Yeah.
I won't get one person negatively commenting about it.
No. But it's an amazing thing, and I remember we've asked for them to be on several times, just the mother, the father. And then again, maybe the tone of this mightn't be where they are with things either, because they have their own way of doing media and all that. But I remember at the early onset of this, and there was a fella, he was kind of saying, he says, if it was your kid, he says, let them be them. And I says, have you ever looked into the suicide rate of them children? He says, what? Well, I says, maybe have a look at that. And then I says, come back to me with let them be them, because I says, they are a suicide rate between 60 and 70%. He says, I didn't know that. I says, a lot of people doesn't know that. Do you know, that used to be a thing years ago, which was called gender dysphoria, which meant that there was a genuine belief you were born in the wrong body, and it fucked with your mind in a bad way, so it did.
Yeah.
And what they try to do is tell you, no, you're born the way you are, and this, that, and the other. And that Father Ted book was on about it. There's a lot of them fellas that thinks there's women that's actually just a gay fella.
Yeah.
Or women that thinks they're a man, and no, you're actually just a lesbian. That's all that's up with you.
You're that confused. You wouldn't know what. You don't know what you're talking about. Who? No. There's that many different things.
Well, touch wood, thank Christ, I never had too much confusion with it. I was
there was a
stone mad for veg, and that was it. 4 kids.
Stay in that lane. But that's what I say. But I remember only a lot of years ago. I remember the field I was in, lifting silage below in Westmead. And they were on that bollocks Joe Duffy on the radio, and they were on about there was this one on about she was non-binary. And I had to fucking say, fuck this, and I took out the phone and I had to Google it. To Google, what the hell is non-binary? What is the actual... And even after reading it, you go, I'm still no further on. It means you're nothing.
Yeah.
You don't know what you are. I don't know. But the best thing about Enoch Burke was, Burke was never going to hassle that child.
No.
That child could have come in dressed up as Superman if they wanted, and he was still going to teach them.
Yeah.
But he just wasn't going to call them Superman.
Yeah.
And it was the school totally screwed that whole thing up.
Yeah.
Absolutely, totally. And I'll tell you something, if they could go back in time.
Oh, they'd have to.
And he hasn't been sacked.
No.
Because they know what'll happen.
Yeah. So I've said that to multiple people on it. How come he's not sacked? Because he's not breaking a law. And like when the dust settles on this, and it could be months, it could be years, the entire public of Ireland will have to look back and say one man done prison, protested, and not once did he falter or say, you know, I'll believe your bullshit. He stood against all of us.
Yeah.
So he did, you know.
Yeah.
It's a sad state of affairs, but I think given a couple of years or that he'll come out the top of it.
And James, prison is a daunting experience for someone who's not a criminal.
No, that's it. Yeah.
Now, I was in it. I'd done it.
Yeah.
For a very short few days.
Yeah.
And it's not nice.
No.
Now, if you're in that system, and I'll just tell you about a lad that a lad came in and sat down beside me in a big room one day. I was waiting to be brought back to the court. I was in it for contempt of court, over the banks and that. And this fella came in and he was put in a room beside me, and total headbang on. He went into the toilets and he started kicking toilet rolls around the place everywhere. And just fucking nice. This fella's a lula. Then he went in and was on the toilet and started shouting out at me, "Hey, horse! Bang that door and tell them who's there's no toilet roll in here." See, she kicked it all around the room. Oh, gather me up a bit of it and bring it into me. So anyway, he came back here and he sat beside me. And he started on about, what was I there for? Us, I contempt of court and this and that. All right. I said, what about you? Oh, well, I'm in for such a thing, but I would have been due to be out now in 2 or 3 weeks. But he said, I threw a yellow man. And I did, a yellow man? I threw a yellow man and it hit a yard and died. I said, what's a yellow man? Oh, you know the things they put down when they're washing the floor. Yeah. I said, oh, aye, the yellow man. So he threw it in a yard and died and badly injured the yard. And he said, oh, I'm in trouble now. He said, that I won't be getting released. And I said, what sort of an idiot are you? I said, why did you do that? And he done this. Because I don't want to be released, he said. Mm-hmm. I have nothing, he said. This was September. He said, I don't want to be getting out of here over the winter. He said, I'm homeless. He said, I can't go home. And he said, I have a grand cell. I have my television. I have everything. I'm playing in the soccer thing here. I'm doing this and doing that. He said, I have everything I want in here. I have nothing out there.
Yeah.
And I just said, and I'm there.
But they do exist.
Yeah. And I'm sitting beside him going, I want to get the hell out of this place as quick as possible. Yeah. And I just said, I felt sad, like that's where society is.
Well, me and Anthony was telling you about, we were heading home for Christmas one year, and there's an old fella. Do you know, you'd have a couple of weeks off work. Be no work because every man was going back to Ireland. I says, what's your plan? I'll walk in, he says, a couple of days before Christmas with a bottle of piss, and I'll fuck it across the counter. And he says, they'll lock me up for 3 or 4 weeks. And he says, I'll be back to work then.
Jesus.
And that was what he done. He just walk into the station, put the bottle in across the counter, said, that's filled with piss. Be arrested, court, you'd get a couple of weeks in. That was it.
You know, and when you have a good life, we'll call it. You know, when you have a good life.
Yeah, you can't come to that mentality.
No, and that Christmas is something you like in a way because you're saying, well, look, it's a few days off, maybe, or whatever. And you have these other people who have nothing.
No. Christmas to him was all the young fellas that you had the crack with for the year was gone home for a month.
Yeah.
So, as far as he was concerned, he was better in there having the crack with another fresh gather of fellas and talking about old times. And
you ever see that programme that used to be on the telly, the Trailer Park Boys? Do you ever remember them?
That was a good
and the lads, one lad got jailed.
Yeah.
You know, and they were all sitting, the other lads were sitting around the campfire. They're going, oh, Jesus, look, he'd be in there now, yeah, and they'll be playing pool, and they were thinking about the great time the lads was having.
Inside, yeah. Well, I worked with one for an English book, and I just noticed he had a tattoo. It was of a clock and no hands on it. And I just copped with me. I said, that book done a long stint. So I did. So just, anyways, he was on a Kango, and I was shoveling it out from the trench. And I said, were you long inside? And he says, 13 years. And I never asked him anything further than that because I was saying to myself,
He wasn't in for that. Wasn't for drunken disorder.
I said, he was looking down on my head, so I was thinking I can go on the top of it. Wouldn't be a great thing.
But James, I'll tell you something now about the system and the corruption inside the system. I was putting.
Do you want to tell us that on Patreon?
All right. Oh, sorry. Yes. Oh, we finished on the YouTube. I lost track of time altogether. Christopher and everyone, thanks for following us on Patreon and Spotify. We'll head over to Patreon and Spotify. So good lad, you're keeping an eye on the clock. Anyway, fair play to you.